Greetings from St. Francis City, San Francisco. Founded in 1776 by the Spanish. We are currently in Union Square at the center of the downtown area. Join us today for a look around the city. Due to its location on the Pacific coast, San Francisco is home to a large Chinatown and also a Japantown, which I gather is separate. This is the entrance. And now we're in Chinatown. Japantown to follow. And we've reached St. Mary's Cathedral, which is the first building erected as a cathedral in all of California. Shrine or bank, you decide. But the answer is bank. At the corner of Washington and Montgomery, we find the Transamerica Pyramid, an Art Deco building built in 1927 and built in the shape of a pyramid to allow light to fall on the lovely streets below. And from across the street, you get a slightly better sense of its distinctive shape here, with the part of the building jutting out. San Francisco is known as a tech hub, but it still has very nice older school streets.
Filson.
And a Filson store. And the Transamerica Pyramid again. San Francisco is built on a bunch of hills, not unlike Rome, which means you gotta hike up if you want to go to cool parks. It's not the journey, it's the destination. And it's a pretty cool destination. Up ahead in the distance is Coit Tower, a 210-foot Art Deco concrete tower that was built to beautify the city in 1933. We're gonna head up there because apparently it offers some pretty nice views. You can see these streets are really lovely. It sort of has a streetcar suburb feel. Quiet streets, but pretty narrow, all one way, and then nice housing stock built right on the sidewalks. There you see downtown San Fran. Maybe see the water through the trees. Then the tower. The elevator is apparently out of service, so TBD if I have the gumption to walk up all those stairs. And out into the bay you can see Treasure Island, built in 1936 for the World's Fair. We're beginning the arduous trek, first down and then back up on Lombard Street, one of the more famous thoroughfares in all of San Francisco. Alright, the exhausting hike up. Hannah's struggling. I'm struggling. Still a ways to go. And the famous part of Lombard Street. Windy way up. And we've reached the top of the crookedest street in the world, according to a plaque on the way up. Fun street art. And some beautiful buildings. After climbing several more hills, we've reached the Spreckels Mansion, a historic French Baroque chateau-style house that was built for a sugar baron in the 1900s. And behind it, maybe you can see out of the corner, is the bay. So, not a horrible place to build a house if you're a sugar baron. And it's right on a park.
Lafayette.
Lafayette Park. Nice. Good work. If you've ever wondered what a $5 million 3-bed house looks like, you can come to this street in San Francisco. So far, Japantown has a much less cohesive dynamic than Chinatown did. Basically, it just looks like San Francisco, but with a few shrines. The Peace Plaza is under construction, which feels very apropos. there's still a nice area to hopefully eat outside, because I'm very hungry. From a high point on this park back here, you can see all the way down to the bay. And there's some folks out there sailing. I think that's the ferry. It's pretty scenic. And because the streets are so steep, you have to park at 90 degrees so your car doesn't slide down this hill. And when you hike the whole way down from the main part of the city, you get to this beautiful marina. And in the distance, the Golden Gate Bridge. Hopefully y'all can hear what I'm saying, but it's a very windy day, as you can tell from all the kite surfers and sailors out and about. Across the way there is Alcatraz, the famous prison turned museum, potentially turning prison again, according to the president. And across the bay is Sausalito, where a bunch of very wealthy people live, in a place that we're biking tomorrow. We are now walking through and around the Palace of Fine Arts, which was constructed for the 1915 World's Fair, which is the Panama Pacific World's Fair, meant to celebrate the completion of the Panama Canal. It is the last structure from that World's Fair that still exists in San Francisco. The other structures built for the World's Fair, like Treasure Island that we saw earlier, was for the 1937 World's Fair. This was from 1915. And there's the main structure. Pretty amazing. The palace is only a little over 100 years old. But you really do feel like you're walking through the Roman Forum. And even more stairs. I'm wearing jeans and chafing. Recommend wearing wicking fabrics if you're going to walk around San Francisco. Because we haven't had enough of stairs, we're heading to the Lion Street Steps, which apparently offers a nice view of the Palace of Fine Arts. So hopefully it's worth it. And there's the view down from the steps. We happened on the Swedenborgian Church, which I guess was supposed to be an arts and crafts style church. It's only open for tours on Sundays. It's very pequeño. It is a bad choice to drive in the state of California, particularly in the city of San Francisco, based on those gas prices, and yet people are still doing it, so who knows. We've arrived at the Haight-Ashbury section of town, which I guess is the hippie part of town. Of course, the hippie movement is something that California is definitely known for, so should make for an interesting adventure. So a slight revision, apparently this was the epicenter of the Summer of Love in 1967, and therefore of the whole hippie movement. So this is it. This is the hippie mecca. One of the more unique features of San Francisco is the number of incredible city parks where you can really lose yourself in nature, even though you're right in the middle of the main part of the city. This is like the 5th, 6th, something like that, park we've seen today. Each more spectacular than the last. Highly recommend. The park is called Buena Vista, and it has more than a few. Seems like a cool place to play tennis. As twilight begins to settle in, the city is still bustling. And, in addition to the outdoor gym, which is quite cool, there's a live jazz band performing on the street. San Francisco is doing a very European style street life scene here. They close down the street, allow you to walk. They have a lot of outdoor seating, which given the weather is just amazing. It's all quite nice. So we're now taking an automated car. Oh, now the automated car is leaving. Huh?
Oh, unlock.
So as you can see, no driver. But hopefully it'll get us home safely. This is a very cool but singularly terrifying experience. Because it really is driving.
Well, look at the wheel.
Yeah, the wheel moves. It makes little adjustments. It's bizarre. On the morning of day 2, we are taking San Francisco Transit. Which is actually quite nice. It's a very modern station. We grabbed some e-bikes and we're now ripping through Golden Gate Park. We're going to head over the Golden Gate Bridge and show you all Sausalito. And over to the right are San Francisco's Botanical Gardens and this beautiful white building.
Windmill.
So over to the left is the Legion of Honor Museum, which is doing an exhibition on the Etruscans, looks like. And got a beautiful fountain overlooking a golf course. On the bluffs overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, it's a perfect time to talk about the founding of San Francisco. This area of San Francisco is still called the Presidio, which is the name the Spanish gave it when they established San Francisco as a military base from which to direct their activities in Northern California. Happened in 1776, so 1776 was a momentous year everywhere in North America. From this position, they had a commanding view of the entrance to the bay. So out there is the Pacific Ocean. Here, you put a couple guns, you control the bay. So directly across the way is the Presidio, and you can see why that was such a great place to set up defensive fortifications, because the bay entry pinches right there. That's why they built the bridge across. And then in the distance, hopefully on this camera, you can see downtown San Francisco and Alcatraz. We're now across the bay in the beautiful bayside town of Sausalito, which has become kind of a tourist hub because it's the first town you encounter right after you cross the Golden Gate Bridge, which would be way over in that direction. There's a nice boating culture, as you can probably tell from the sails over there in the distance. And there's a few people actually out on the water. We're going to continue on to another bayside town, the name of which I don't know.
Mill Valley.
Mill Valley. So, see what that's like. Housing is so expensive here that it looks like a lot of people opt for pretty extravagant houseboats. I've passed several of these kind of dockyards where they have multi-bedroom houseboats. It's amazing. We've made our way back into SF, into Alamo Square Park, to to see the Painted Ladies, made famous by the Full House title sequence. I confess I never actually watched the show. I'm more familiar with it as like a cultural thing in the US, but this is the famous row of painted houses on a hill with the backdrop of San Francisco in the background. Another angle. We're beginning our final morning here at the Ferry Building in Embarcadero, San Francisco. Aptly named Embarcadero, since this is where you get on the boats to head to Sausalito and a few other destinations around the bay. The building itself was designed in the late 1800s, and at the time was the largest construction project in all of San Francisco. So we're gonna go check that out. So as I said, the building was completed in 1896, turn of the century, but they had a renovation of the building in the early 2000s. We'll go check out the inside, see how they did. So before the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, the ferry was the only way to get around the bay. And it wasn't until 1937 when they built that bridge, and they built a bridge across Treasure Island, that this ferry building fell into disuse. However, the ferry has seen a second life as a tourist attraction, as is this building. This is pretty beautiful. So these are the actual ferry terminals where the boats will pull up, and then you can see the back. It's kind of an arcade. Number of stores here in the ferry building. In the far background, you can see the bridge over to Treasure Island. And up at the top, you can see it says Port of San Francisco. So I think the actual loading and unloading port is across the bay, which maybe you'll be able to see in the distance. It's a little bit foggy out here, as it so frequently is in the morning. But across the way, you can maybe see an Evergreen ship being unloaded in what looks like the actual port. Interestingly, San Francisco still uses their historic trolley cars to move folks around the city, not just as a tourist attraction, but as an actual part of the infrastructure. If you want the true tourist trolley experience, you can get it on this route, which runs up Lombard Street, I believe. San Francisco is still a major shipping hub. As you can see, ships coming in from Asia are being guided in by a Coast Guard vessel. That's a big old container ship. Allegedly, we're standing at the first Orthodox Christian parish in the United States, which feels impossible. It was founded in 1857, but that is what is being alleged here. So, take it in. Having visited a farmer's market, we find ourselves walking through Fort Mason, which was an Army defensive post in San Francisco, and is now turned into a cultural arts complex, and also host a farmer's market on Saturdays where we got this cardamom bun. It's beautiful, right on the water, very lively. So some of the depot area they fixed up. I think that's probably what it looked like if they hadn't fixed it up. Across the way, you can see Alcatraz, perhaps more clearly than we've seen it so far. I think in my imagination it was much farther away from the city. Actually seems quite escapable from here, but who knows. Walking away from the ocean, which you may be able to hear behind me, is Ghirardelli Square, which, you know, Ghirardelli, the famous American chocolate brand that makes the little square chocolate bars. Well, we'll check this out. In the square, see Ghirardelli overhead. Beautiful brick square. And then the original chocolate shop is straight ahead of us, which it alleges was established in 1852. We've entered the Mission neighborhood of San Francisco, which is historically a Latino neighborhood, but which has been experiencing pretty rapid gentrification. If you look around, it has the feeling of Queens or maybe Brooklyn, certain parts of Brooklyn at least. Still a lot of Mexican restaurants, but also a lot of tote bags, so draw your own conclusions. So for our final stop of the day, we're in this government and arts complex in downtown San Francisco. The Opera and the Symphony across the street, and then the San Francisco City Hall, which is a dome that is actually taller than the US Capitol's. It's a very European style street, boulevard with the center divider grass, and then these very made to look old Beaux Arts buildings. So this is the Civic Center Plaza. It's right next to the City Hall, and again surrounded by museums and government buildings on all sides. With City Hall behind me, I'm going to say see you guys in the next video, which will hopefully be coming sometime in the not so distant future. Wave goodbye, Hannah. Alright, if you enjoy the videos, like and subscribe.